Alright, hi. I'm not sure how much you had heard from that. I thought I had muted myself, but I guess that wasn't really the case. Alright, welcome. Let me just take off that and move this down, below. There we go. Okay, and then just turn off. Let's turn off that, and turn on that. Alright, welcome to the stream. I'm gonna have to keep you guys on, I'm not sure which tab you're on. Let's see, that tab to keep you there, so I can see you. Let's put you on the side over here, so I can keep up with the stream. Now, not exactly sure what to go along with this, how to do it properly. Experience some buffering there. But yeah, I'll try to keep the stream there. So, welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy. So, if you don't know, I've been working on a series called Kantaro Saga. It's a fictional series set in a sort of like fantastical city-state, I'd say, along the lines of it's a mix of modern futuristic kind of fantasy with olden kind of fantasy. It's like if you gave someone from the Lord of the Rings a gun, and that's kind of the gist of the mix going there. It's a series that mixes a lot of different elements, specifically for the purpose of reviving those elements that had originally been kind of lost in time, and I'll get to that eventually. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that it's a long project series I've been trying to work on, delving into basically just a lot of different things that I've been working on for a long time. And as you can see here, most likely, hopefully you can see it. Actually, you know what, let's expand it a little so it's easier to be seen. Yeah. So, as you can see here, it doesn't actually have my name as the person who wrote it. That's more or less the name here, Simon Balhoff, is not an actual person, but I can't really explain why that is at the current moment. Let's just say it's spoiler reasons I can't really explain. But as for this, I did pretty much write this book by myself. It took me about, I want to say I started this back in 2014, maybe a little bit in 2013, but I didn't actually start the project until 2014, so I'd say a little under 5 years is probably the webcam. I'm not really wanting to use a webcam. I'm not really wanting to show my face for this because not for any reason that I'm against using a webcam. I'm just not really that photogenic. I'm mostly just going to be talking about the book anyways, so I'm not really looking to do any kind of interaction with the webcam. But yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. I'll be trying to keep you guys on my phone. I'll be checking comments so you don't have to get distracted. If I can access comment, that'd be nice. Okay, so basically tonight I wanted to go over small bits and pieces and promotion of Kantaro Saga. If you don't know, there is a Amazon link. Let me pull that up right now. Let me go ahead and pull up. There we go. So this is the book, and there's also a website for it, which the domain is a little bit of a current problem right now. Let's see. the domain is having a bit of an issue, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and link both of these in the description for you, so you can go ahead and view it yourself. Just add that to the... Yeah, I should have thought of this beforehand, honestly. Please do let me know if you can hear me properly, if there's any problems with audio. Do I have a lot of fans? I'm not sure, honestly, how many people are viewing my stuff. I have been working for the past month or so, maybe more than a month actually, to get this in working order. Promoting it myself, so I'm honestly not sure what the reception is. Favorite animal? That's, I actually have a handful of them. In terms of dog, because I know like dog cat debate. Favorite pet, I guess, is a dog. That's definitely a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. I really like how just their looks are just really cute. I like them. But as for any other kind of animal, I guess for like random animals, there was this one, I don't know, like a tarantula I saw. There was like an orange tarantula. Let me see if I can pull that up. There was this one really cool one that I saw that I like. It's not this one. I think it's, yeah, it's this one. I really like this because of the design it has, and I think tarantulas could be pretty cool animals. So yeah, let's get back onto the book, because this is taking up way too much time. Alright, so, actually, did that save properly? I think it's saved properly, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't access anything YouTube related right now on my phone for some reason, so I'm just gonna have to go by what chat here is telling me. So let's get back to it. So, from where I was going with this, the series is technically not written by me. It is written by a fictional character during an experience that they have. It's a long explanation I can't really go into because I want to stay focused on Kantaro Saga as it is. So, Kantaro Saga, Vengeance chapter in specific, is a, well actually, you know what, let's go ahead and talk about the overarching thing of Kantaro Saga. So, Kantaro Saga is a 4-part novel series about 4 specific individuals on a, caught in a sort of civil state war, like a civil war in a city-state, that it takes about like over the course of 40 to 50 years, you could say. The specific date I haven't really set because I don't want to give a specific date to this. I want to leave it open to interpretation. What program do I use to stream? I use Streamlabs. It's a really cool program that is very open source. I believe that's the term you use. And it's free. It's very easy for YouTube. Anyways, so, where was it? Oh yeah, so Kantaro Saga is a 4-book novel series, and each book has the focus of a different protagonist during a different set time. This book is technically the first release, but I don't have any actual, numbered order. Technically, this would be the 3rd book chronologically. And the reason behind that is because this is a book I consider to set up the most world building, so that way the other books can work off of that. So this is, though this is sort of the 3rd book, I would consider this book the most important in terms of world building, so I had to make this, I kind of had to make this book first before I made any others. So this book in particular, Vengeance chapter, focuses on the protagonist named Trey Shies. After about 3 years after the end of the civil war that had happened in this fictional city-state known as Patrimore. That's Patrimore. Patrimore. He comes back after gone for 3 years for reasons that you'll find in the story. And not too long after, his village hometown is attacked by bandits. So he sets off on a quest to get revenge against the people who had attacked his hometown, and basically along the way finds strange new people, faces tons of different adversaries and issues that he comes across, and gets involved in a struggle for power that he didn't know he was really all that, he didn't know he was part of a bigger plot, and so he has to kind of struggle with that throughout this story. How am I liking Koi's server? I believe you're talking about, Raining Koi Wolf. It's okay. I think it's a pretty good server. I'm not on it that often. In fact, I'm barely on Discord. I mostly use it to talk to friends and promote my projects, so you won't see me on there very often. Back to what I was talking about. So the reason that these things are called chapters is for two reasons. One, because because like I said earlier, there's no specific there's no specific first book. There's no specific second, third, or fourth book, etc., etc. There's no book that you have to start with, and it makes it open-ended to where you, as the reader, can choose which book you want to go into. And the second reason I call it chapter is mostly because how this is structured, because it's a more chronological kind of book that is open-ended. I thought, calling it, this is the chapter of this saga, fits kind of best to the aesthetic. What I've done in turn, as you can maybe see on the side, is refer to each chapter as an arc. Now, what arcs are essentially a term I coined. What am I even saying? It's a term I coined that basically is, simply put, is just a collection of chapters. For example, here in the table of contents, you can see Arc 1 involves chapters 1 through 4. What it essentially is like when you're watching a movie, or even better, a TV show, and you have an arc, like a character arc or a story arc. You get from, for example, Dragon Ball Z, with Frieza. You had an entire arc around the story focused on the beginning of Frieza being involved to the end of it. So this is essentially a similar kind of thing, except it's all within its own contained story. So with this, you have these, say for example, Arc 1 has these 4 chapters that are involved with giving information on that specific part of the book, but then it's almost like you could read it as its own book, like its own story, and then be able to transition over to the next one after having a little break to be able to digest what you just read. So in a way, it kind of creates itself to a easy to read experience. Are the characters human or animals? Okay, so all of them are humanoid, I'd say. There are some animalistic aspects to it. There is an animal character in there that is named Kuro. I'll get into detail about the protagonist in just a bit. But overall, all the characters are essentially human. So let's go ahead and get into detail about the characters since I brought that up. So the 3 main characters to this, let's go ahead and start off with the obvious protagonist, Trey Shies. He's a shy kind of kid, as his name would suggest. He's a loner who likes to go out and do things on his own. He's a very expressive kind of kid. He's about 17. I originally set him as 16, but then I thought maybe 17 fits better. He's kind of a kid out on a quest for finding himself and being himself. He's very into technology and learning about the world and being very hands-on and creative. He likes messing with technology. He likes knowing the ins and outs of how things work. He's very observant of certain things, and he likes to give details about that by always kind of spouting off exposition when nobody really wants it. But it's not like he gets annoying. It's more that he's just reclusive and doesn't know all the how to kind of interact in society the best way. So he's the focused protagonist in this. And I don't want to exactly give any spoilers, but he does have a sort of mutation to him that isn't explained in this book why he has it. Well, it is explained why he has his mutation, but the whole book and series has an element of scientific mutation to it. But this book won't explain why that exists. It's going to be in a future book. Why it will be explained in a future book is essentially what I'm trying to say. Is the main character self-insert? No. The main character is not a self-insert. Technically, there was originally... well, the name is my own. It's my own nickname. But it is not a representation of me. You could say that it is somewhat a self-insert, but I would not say the same because I've gotten opinions from other people that say that that they don't see a lot of Trey in me. They see Trey as his own character. But if you want to say it's a self-insert, I honestly don't mind. But anyway, so Trey is a sort of he's just a kid who likes to do things and be active, but he's very shy about how he does it. And so the mutation aspect is he has a pair of big angelic kind of wings, but it's like throughout the series, throughout the book, it is given detail that this wasn't something that just came out of nowhere. This is something that he's been dealing with, and only recently did it become very much more prevalent. And it's not like it's a bad thing or a good thing necessarily. What gender is the main character? There are three main characters. I'd say there's three main protagonists. There's no set number of... anyways, the three main protagonists are male identified. I haven't specifically identified... Like, I haven't specifically made... I haven't given enough information as to... can I get a free book? No, but there is a copy of the first arc available to read freely on the website. You can read a sample here for free. But you can pre-order the book for $5 before it goes live, which I will then be turning the book to a price of about probably $7. Can I voice act for the book if the opportunity ever arises? I'm not sure if I'm going to create any sort of audiobook for this. I had done a project idea for it in the past, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do it now because it feels like it's going to be a lot of work that I don't want to go back into. If you want to voice anything, if you want to make anything, I am completely open and allowing people to make anything that they want revolving around the project. It's open in the beginning. Sorry I missed the beginning. Would you kindly give me a rundown of the general? Okay, so we were just starting off. Essentially, Kantaro Saga is a series of 4 books about 4 different protagonists, depending on the book, which protagonist it is, in a city, within a city-state that is constantly in a civil war with itself. Each book is actually a different genre, now that you bring up the aspect of genre. This book is a sort of action-adventure thriller kind of book. The next book is going to be more of a romance kind of book. Third book is going to be more of a more or less of a I guess more thriller than this book would ever be. It's a lot more horror elements, and then the last book is a lot more actiony, very action heavy. Excuse me on that. But yeah, each book is kind of each book is essentially kind of its own thing that then wraps back into a bigger overarching plot. Anyways, where was I? Okay, so I think I explained enough about Trey Shies. Let's move on to the second protagonist named Kuro. That's Kuro. And if you're good at knowing different languages, you may know somewhere in an alternate dimension. Oh, you're talking to each other. You may know that Kuro is the Japanese word for dark. Essentially, Kuro is a being. He is an amalgamate being. He looks mostly like a. He looks kind of like a mountain lion cub, and he has mutations to himself as well. As you learned later down the line, he is something completely different, but I don't want to spoil what it is because it is plot relevant. But essentially, he's a chimera amalgamate kind of being who appears in a location known as the Dark Forest. That appears around Arc 2. He appears in the first chapter of Arc 2. He's a very much more shy character than Trey is, because in this book, Trey is a lot more open, a lot more expressive, as I mentioned before, compared to his younger self. That being because he had been involved in the war effort and the civil war that took place 3 years ago, according to this book. So Trey is more of the heroic, kind of hometown hero type. Okay.
You're doing a live stream or something?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, my bad.
You're fine.
Who are you doing, like on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, is it muted right now?
No, you can hear it.
Who's on there?
There's just people who want to know about my book, because I'm basically doing this to promote
Shout
the
out
book.
to your boy Trey. That's a sick ass book. That boy worked hard on that shit.
Okay, yeah, you might need to go now.
Alright, I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, cool. Please close my door.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, thank you.
Light on?
No, yeah, you just keep it there.
Alright, good night, bro.
Night. That was just my brother. Sorry about the interruption. Where was I? So your first ever character was Kuro. That's nice. Anyways, so Kuro is essentially a what kind of technology do they have, and what sort of era is this? That's a good question. So the technology, I'd say, is a sort of modern take on technology. But it's like, it mixes... Okay, so originally the idea I had before I scrapped it and remade it is this was a futuristic version of a sort of like mid-American Civil War type era, but then given futuristic elements to it. But I eventually scrapped that idea, and what I'm going for now is it's an era of probably modern time, that is this city-state is somewhere where they're given access to these weapons and these technology and this stuff, but their civilization hasn't advanced enough to modern day. Their technology hasn't advanced enough to modern day stuff, so they still have they're still kind of lagging back some. So essentially, it's like if you mixed, I'd say the late 1800s with modern day technology, you'd get a general idea of the kind of era in it. So I guess like Russia. Yeah, Russia is basically the late 1800s, early 1900s with modern day technology. So yeah, that's essentially what you're getting in this. But anyways, so Kuro is a he, like I said before, he's a very shy character. He's very unsure of himself because the issue he has is he has amnesia essentially, and he doesn't know about his past up to about I want to say like a few days. He keeps forgetting who he is, constantly losing his no planes yet? No. There is a railroad system that is acknowledged in the book, though. So he's a very just nervous character. He doesn't know what he's doing or where he is. But when he becomes more calm and, you know, able to understand what's going on, he can be kind of a little, he's a little rude, but I wouldn't say in a mean kind of way. He's just kind of like the chill kind of guy who likes to chat, likes to point out small little details about people. Excuse me there. He likes to kind of have a little bit of fun. He's the kind of wingman to a nervous person trying to get a date with someone. He's like, I'm not sure how to give another analogy, but he's kind of the guy that likes to. He likes to be a people pleaser, kind of likes just to be nice with people. He likes to open up and learn more about people and be that kind of person who is just kind of the middleman, the mediator, almost. That is whenever he's not just basically having a mental breakdown because he doesn't know who he is and he's losing his identity. Right language you love. Thank you. If you are going to be staying for the rest of the stream, I hope you enjoy. And if not, then I hope you have a good night. So that's the focus of Arc 2 is that character. Arc 3 introduces the third protagonist. There are multiple other protagonists involved, but the three main protagonists are introduced in Arc 1 through 3. In Arc 3, we are introduced to Vex, otherwise known as his full name, Vexus Talos. Vex is well, as his name entails, Vex, he can be kind of a very angry, quick to react, emotional person. He's very, how do I say it? Very vexed. Sorry, I just really thought it'd be kind of funny. So Vex is a hero type. He's the hero everyone would kind of see as you are the destined hero of this journey. He's always been living up to the expectations of wanting to be the ultimate hero and trying to rise up to power to achieve his goal. In turn, because he's so focused on his desire to become a hero, it can at times blind him and make him a little bit unaware of what would happen if his goal didn't go the way he wanted to. If things are going how he wants them to and he becomes the hero people want him to be, then everything is good on him. He's on track, he knows what he's doing. But when things start to mess up, he can become very aggressive. He can become very angry and just overall not a good person to be around. He's very goal-oriented. He very much wants to focus on himself and getting to the goal, but not at the expense of harming others. It's just that he doesn't like to deviate from his journey, essentially. So these are the three protagonists that you'll find, the three main protagonists that work together to get to the end goal of, well, what is the end goal? So I had mentioned that this city-state that this book takes place in is constantly at war. There is a monarch in this place, or rather, some would call him a dictator, known as Zacharak. Again, that's Zacharak. I didn't know if I emphasized that enough. I may not have spoken up enough. I'm sorry about that. So Zacharak is essentially the main antagonist of this series. This book, I mean, really. He is the focused antagonist of this book, and he essentially he's more of a figure and a known threat more than something that you actually see all too often. He's kind of kept in the background and not really talked about that. He's more talked about than he is shown, essentially. But from what people know in the book, he's a brooding, dictatorish kind of monarch who likes to be, in a way, a sort of megalomaniac. He likes to take power and control what other people do. He's essentially the corrupt ruler type. Not much more to it. I don't want to say much more about him because the book is supposed to explain that later down the line. It's a very key point where you know more about him. So for now, kind of know him as you don't really know much about him, other than he's a threat that controls a lot more than you think he controls. So that's the base idea, the base concept of this book. Now, there is a second element within this that I'd like to explain by reading off the prologue that is found in Arc 1. So, there is more than just the main element of the base story of war conflict. There's a spatial kind of mystical, magical element that is at play here that essentially gives another element of surprise, you could say. And I keep saying the word element because it's a key element, as you could probably tell, that plays into this. So I'd like to read you the prologue in the beginning. Long ago, before the universe of now was present, creation and existence did not have a possibility. Particles of light floated freely in a sea of darkness. Nothing moved or connected, and all stayed distant. It's not sure how long this lasted for, but soon it all came to change. Deep within, a flash of light broke through the space, and made the universal plane become present at last. And as the light settled, two beings emerged. Their names were Light and Dark. Light was a being of essence. It could sense things and feel emotionally, and its powers shone through to create a light of life. Dark was a being of existence. It could see things before itself and feel physically, and its powers pushed through to create a darkness of being. Unfortunately, these two could not create anything of their own. Light could collect life, but could have nothing to hold it with. Dark could create matter, but could have nothing to stabilize it. However, the two beings soon each realized the other's power. They admired what they each could do, and soon they tried something differently and formed something together. And from their combined powers, essence and existence formed into matter and life itself. Surprised yet intrigued, the two beings did so again, and from it created more. Realizing their potential together, they knew that they were meant to inhabit the universe. Realizing their potential together, they knew they were meant to inhabit the universe together as one, and from there, they began to create. They formed many things, such as stars, galaxies, nebulae, and even planets of life. But their greatest creation was something of individuality. They had created more individual creators, or elements, as they were referred to by religious races on certain planets. They spanned amongst three beings: fire, water, and earth. From there, the elements took over power, and light and dark managed the stability of the universe. All was at peace for the universe they had created. However, deep within empty space, far outside the limits of existence, another being formed, a ravenous creature that wanted nothing but destruction and death. It was referred to by religious races as shadow, and it was said that it was both light and dark at the same time, though couldn't be either entirely. Shadow was determined and entered the universe, beginning to destroy everything there, taking over like a flood of tar, making everything disappear slowly. But the elements, light and dark, saw what Shadow was doing almost instantaneously, and they decided to band together to remove it from existence. A war commenced, and the universe was badly damaged. The elements fought hard, but could not stop the destruction of Shadow. Light and Dark realized that if this continued for much longer, nothing would be left to save. And so, trusting in each other, they sacrificed themselves to destroy the universe, and Shadow in the process. After some time, the universe returned, and so did they. Realizing their mistakes, they were careful and maintained the new universe more cautiously. While they did bring back the elements, they did everything in their power to keep from bringing back Shadow. And with their new discovery, they made sure they knew exactly what to do, and soon, the universe was back to normal. However, it is said in legend that one day, while unsure of which date, Shadow would return to destroy all. It is told deep within lore that one day, when Shadow is at its closest of return, a kingdom will fall to the powers of a destructive leader. From the rebel, a warrior and his two companions will set off to destroy the corrupted ruler. Depending on their outcome, it would decide whether or not Shadow would make a full recovery. The legend does not state who will win. However, there is yet one more legend. It is said that a certain blade has the power to alter space and time, as it was wielded by a god of creation, but he could not maintain its great power. The blade entered the world, and in its unstable state upon entrance, it split into 3 different blades. It's unsure what they were called, but people have come to make new names for them. The blade of protection, wielded by a warrior destined to protect. The blade of hope, wielded by a person who has achieved an unknown power. And the blade of destiny, wielded by a traveler, space and time. It is said that the hero and his companions will take up these blades and strike down evil, but the side of evil is more powerful than any mortal could ever be. The lore stated does not predict what will happen, but what could happen. This excerpt from the beginning of Kantaro Saga Vengeance chapter essentially opens up the idea that maybe this whole universe is a lot different than we know of going into it. Essentially, this is supposed to set up a more, it's supposed to make it more open-ended and easier of setting up more continuities. As in, I'm not sure the right word usage. I'm sorry if I'm stuttering and not speaking enough. But essentially, it creates itself a new identity. It creates a new identity to go under by saying, this is the world that you're set in. Here's things that you're going to be dealing with. I think there's a term for it. I'm not sure the term, but it's like you're basically getting set in a new world that you're not. New world, new laws. You're going to have to go with it, and yeah. If I knew the word off the top of my head, I'd let you know, but sadly, the words seem to pass me. But let's go ahead and finish it up here and get to the overall part I was trying to get to. So, Kantaro Saga follows the adventure of Trey Shies on his quest for revenge after his hometown is attacked by bandits. And so, along the way, he meets Kuro, a amalgamate mountain lion cub who is lost in the woods trying to find his purpose and understand who he is, and Vexus Talos, a man on a quest to become who he's supposed to be and live up to the expectations of a hero. This journey will take them across the land of Patrimore as they venture on their own quests and try to understand this world they're set in. They'll face difficult problems, whether physical or mental, and unlock new potentials and find new companions that will help them along the way, as well as Trey learning that he's part of something a lot bigger than he really knows. Something that wasn't just him going off on a journey for revenge for his hometown, but rather something much more deeper that he didn't know in the first place. Something much more important. So, I'd like to thank you for joining the live podcast. I'm not really sure what to call this. Live stream, essentially. I'd like to thank you for joining. if you do have any questions, let me know. I have my email in my YouTube channel, or you can visit me on Twitter at lucid_creator, or on my official Kantaro Saga page, which is linked below. Or you can also contact me on the Kantaro Saga Twitter, which simply just look up Kantaro Saga and you'll find it on Twitter. So, I'd like to thank you for joining me, and until then, I hope you enjoy Kantaro Saga Vengeance Chapter. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a good day.